was then accused of embezzling federal funds for James Reynolds and decided it was best to publish a 95-page essay on the affair, the Reynolds pamphlet, sacrificing his family for his legacy, job, and name. He gave up all we had, the foundation we worked so hard to build, just to let it all crumble to the ground. I told him to leave, to not come home, and to forget about what we once had, but he would not give up. When will the time come that I shall be exempt from the necessity of leaving my dear family? I am almost ready to abandon everything and fly with you. I gave in. How could I not? We now had 5 children who needed a father, and I could not raise them on my own. Alexander returned home on February 12, 1800. There were many things we needed to discuss after our time apart, things that could not be kept quiet any longer. After a time, our happiness grew once again, and we hoped it would remain. I could not handle another heartbreak. On October 9th, 1802, a young boy's life was lost. No, taken. My son's life was taken by George Eager in a duel not even to protect himself but his father, the man who broke my heart and compromised his family. George Eager had spoken poorly about Alexander. We tried ignoring his jabs and words, but Philip admired his father and would not let someone get around with saying such damaging things. Our eldest daughter, Angelica, was so horrified by the incident that we had to send her to an asylum in Queens, New York. She was very close to Philip. Our family mourned for so long, and the wound never truly healed, but we tried to live quietly and out of the public eye. What I thought were childish, bickering letters between my husband and Aaron Burr quickly became much more serious than I thought. The letters became more aggressive and more threatening, but I thought nothing would come from it. July 4th, 1804. This letter, my very dear Eliza, will not be delivered to you unless I shall first have terminated my earthly career. I shall cherish the sweet hope of meeting you in a better world. Adieu, best of wives, best of women. Embrace all my darling children for me. Ever yours, A.H. The long, festering political disagreement with Aaron Burr had led to a tragic coup de duello on the shores of Weehawken. I could not leave his side. I could not care about the things he had done in the past. I just wanted my husband to come home safe. I read the words back to myself over and over again. Ever yours. He was, and still is. Let others waste their time and their tranquility in a vain pursuit of power and glory. Be it my object to be happy in a quiet retreat with my better angel. He died later that day. We buried him at Trinity Church in New York City. He was too young. There was so much more he could have accomplished, so much more to change. I suppose that is when I realized that there was no more time to mourn. There were problems that needed solved, and I could not rely on him anymore. I had to take matters into my own hands. Alexander and I always struggled with money before, but now that he was gone, we had none. I was left penniless. My father offered to assist in paying off Alexander's debts and with the land, but this was something I needed to do on my own. I had to sell our 35-acre property and spent most of my life after Alexander in poverty. But I had my children, and that was finally enough for me. Both of my parents had passed within 4 months after Alexander's death. I knew it was bound to happen, but everything was happening so fast, I felt as though I was losing everyone I loved, everyone in my life. Still, I could not get too caught up in all those negative thoughts. I needed to take positive actions and make a difference in the lives of others. Therefore, in 1806, I co-founded the Society for the Relief of Poor Widows with Small Children. That same year, I also co-founded the first private orphanage in New York City, the New York Orphan Asylum Society. There, I served as second directress until being first directress in 1801. Furthermore, I worked there tirelessly for a total of 42 years, helping the children who desperately needed me. Still, I knew there was more I could do. I triumphantly assisted First Lady Dolly Madison in raising funds for the Washington Monument and was present for the laying of the cornerstones. It was a gorgeous ceremony. If only Alexander could have been there. Alexander. I spent the 50 years after his death working to preserve his memory and works. Fortunately, our son, John Church Hamilton, assisted in finding important letters and documents and having them published. Legacy was so important to Alexander, and I could not let his be anything less than honorable. I worked so diligently, keeping his memory alive, that I had forgotten about my own. On November 9th, 1854, I had died. I was laid to rest in Trinity Church, near Alexander. I was 97 and outlived most of my children. The orphanage I founded triumphantly remains in operation today under the name Graham Wyndham. It's thrilling to see how our small operation flourished into this 213-year-old organization. In 2015, the hit musical, Hamilton, an American Musical, premiered in the Richard Rodgers Theater. Due to my tireless efforts to preserve my husband's literary works, his impactful legacy lives on today and has inspired many. Dear, beloved Alexander, we can finally meet in that better world you spoke of.